Hi, welcome back to this class. In this class, we'll be looking at how to, build upon what we already know about the where function. Now, in the where function, in the previous class, we were talking about how to select, maybe you filter from just one future or one field, right? So maybe you just want to see the data set for 2016 alone. However, in a lot of in the real life cases, most of the time you want to filter by not just one row, or maybe even not just one field. Maybe you want to filter by a couple of cases, and maybe for instance you want to filter by maybe the major category. You want to see a certain major category for a certain bureau for a certain year, for instance. So in this case, like the filter case becomes much more complex. Now, in this class, we'll be looking at how to model this type of case, this type of complex scenario, by understanding a little bit of how the where function actually works. Now, the where function is a function that basically, like, it's trying to find the true cases, right? So it's looking at the true cases, and so basically you have to write the your query in a way that it pops what you want to become the truth, right? So for instance, if you want to do, like, maybe for instance, maybe you have two cases that you would like to see, for instance, that these two cases must be met before, for the data set to show. So for instance, you like to see the year 2016 data for the Borough of City of London, for instance. Now, in this case, you want to see only cases where it's 2016 and Borough. So you when you even say it, you say that it's so basically you're looking for the data set for 2016 and the City of Borough. So it's the data set for City of Borough and that of 2016. So basically, so then it already tells you what are you going to use. You use an and. Now, this is where exactly I'm coming. So here you have two logical statements, which is and or. So for the and case, you're looking for cases where you only select, instances where, like I've just discussed, like instances where the two cases are met. So for instance, you have like the City of London and the year 2016, right? But in the second case, maybe for instance, you like to have one case or the other. So for instance, you can decide that you want to see the data set for the City of London, right? However, or maybe the data set for 2016. So maybe either of the cases. And in this type of situation, you use an or. Another very good place to use an or is maybe if you want to see, like, the data set for year 2016 or 2011, right? So in this case, you could use an or. Although there are some other ways to do this, but you could already use an or. So in this class, we just basically look at these examples of and or. So for the and case, we say, for instance, we want to see a Borough of City of London data, the part of the data set that is having this Borough of City of London, or maybe we could even select a different city. So because it seems like the City of London is quite big in a data set. Okay. So, or maybe we could even go to say we want to see a major category of theft and handling, right? So here you have the major category of theft and handling for 2016. So where the year is equal to 2016. Now, notice how I put this part of the where function in quotes. And here I'm basically using the year. So basically this is because of the data type, right? So the data type of the major category, if you look at the schema again, is a string. Now, when you are putting strings in your where clause, then you put them in a quote. And for integers, basically you can just write them as numbers. It's totally fine. So basically here I could run the query, and when I run the query, I will get the cases where the data set is theft and handling and the year is 2016. Now, so this is it's a classic example of the AND case where you're trying to combine two different filters, and you want the two different filters to satisfy the condition for it to come. So maybe also you would like to see for cases where it happened in the month of November, for instance. So maybe you want to see the major category of theft and handling for the year 2016, November, basically November 2016. So what you have here is you have the month must be November, and then the year must be 2016, and then the major category must be theft and handling. So in this case, you combine all the cases you want to see. So you must have all these cases for it to be successful. So you have the AND, another AND case where you put in the month, right? And then you say equal to 11, which is like representing November here. So when you run the query, you will notice that the query basically returns only instances where you have theft and handling for major category, and then you have the year 2016, the month November. So this is like the the use case of the AND. So you basically combine a couple of cases that you want to see, and then you just AND them basically. Now, in the case of the OR, for OR, we will be looking at, how can we use the OR? So, the OR is just basically like having a case to satisfy either of the cases, right? So if either of the cases is satisfied, then the query will, bring out the result. So it's not going to be a hard rule. It's going to be flexible by allowing either of the case to go through. So basically you could have you want to see data set for the year 2000 and for instance, you want to see year 2016 and or basically, or if the data set is also year 2015, for instance. So maybe you're flexible enough, you want to see either of the cases, right? So here you just put an or. So it's either year 2016 or year 2015. So here you have two cases where you have it's 2016 or 2015. Also it's also possible, like you see from here, I'm basically combining the same field, which is basically year. I'm using the same field to filter. It's also possible to to basically use two different fields. So for instance, you could want to see the data set for 2016 or all the data set for major category, maybe the minor category being harassment, for instance. So here you see it's kind of having different categories, but maybe here what you want to see is either of the two. So maybe you want to see harassment or the 2016 data set. So here you put the name of the minor category you want to see, and then you put an OR. So in this case, what we get back is a query that satisfies either of the condition, basically. So here you see it's either one of the two satisfies. So for here you see both satisfies. Here only minor category satisfies, and then you basically drill down. So when Harassment is not the case, but it must be 2016 here. So from here down, you see like 2016 data set. So this is just the idea of and or. In the next class, we will look at how to negate, cases that we do not want to see in our filtered data sets. Thank you.